It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday matinee to you, Steve.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How you doing? I feel like I haven't talked to you in a long time.
It's been good. Yeah, I did the last week with Andy, and then we just a couple nights ago recorded the trailer rewind for Raw, and man, he's got like hundreds of hours of stuff he's recorded this week, and he's editing.
Yes.
He's just So I am actually feeling okay about giving him a break on the Saturdays, rather than giving him a hard time, knowing that he's got this whole like Marvel movie minute nightmare that he's just taken on.
I'm sure he loves it when you refer to his new property as the Nightmare.
He's having a good time with it, and so best wishes with that, to see how that goes. So it's
been really fun. It's been really fun, and I have been on most of them, but not some of the very recent ones that he's editing. So you'll hear a lot of me in the first dozen or so, and then I drop out, and then I come back, but he's this is it's been really fun, kind of unraveling these first few minutes of Iron Man, and looking at it sort of with this level of kind of microscope. It's fun, and the visual touches and the crazy screen grabs that I've been grabbing as we watch these minutes frame by frame that I just never noticed that are works of art. In terms of some of the best stuff comes out of these weird montages, the surgery montage and the torture montage. I mean, there's just amazing visual work going on in these little sequences that have been really fun. And the guests have been great. People who are really, excited to talk about this stuff. So I can't wait for it to actually launch and release. I don't know when that is going to, when that's going to happen. But
from Andy, it sounds like 2019.
Yeah. Well, since it's a daily thing, I mean, it's going to be a new feed.
Yeah.
And so it won't we won't be filling the next real feed. It will be a new feed that you'll have to subscribe to. But because it's daily, I think the real intention is to make sure that we have enough in the catalog, because we're going to burn through them really fast.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. We also, in terms of shameless plug, I have two shameless plugs. Can I plug?
Yeah,
briefly.
Sure.
Do you mind if I take the floor? The first one is another movie minute that Andy and I did, which is Dave makes a minute.
Dave makes a maze.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not. He was telling me about it, and the sort of odd way that one sort of came together. It was like a surprise movie, like nobody knew what the movie was going to be, and you guys got thrown some minutes to watch out of this thing about a guy that builds a maze out of like cardboard boxes in his house, and goes into another dimension or something. I don't know. Yeah.
It's really fun. The podcast idea is actually from one of the guests on the show that our Marvel Movie Minute actually had this idea. Robert Black. I think it was just Robert Black. I'm not sure if what other people were involved in this thing, but the whole idea is that you just throw out random minutes to a bunch of podcasters and just say, hey, you're gonna do minute 7, 19, and 64, and I don't care if you've ever seen the movie, just watch these minutes and record yourselves sort of decompressing or deconstructing these minutes, and then we're going to release them in order. And as it turns out, because of the nature of this movie, very few people had seen it. Andy had seen it, I had not. And so it was a really interesting conversation of Andy, I think, essentially trying not to spoil it for me, as we kind of noticed all of the stuff going on in each of these movies. The movie is, as you say, I mean, it's about a guy who, this woman comes home after a trip and she walks into her living room and there's a maze, a cardboard box fort that is going on. And you just have to kind of figure out what is going on with this cardboard fort. And I have since, I kind of fell in love with the concept after we recorded these minutes. And so I have since purchased the movie, and I've only watched the first 15 minutes, but with my son. But apparently, it gets to the point where I might not want to watch it with my son. So I've been warned. So
Okay.
I may have to back off of that plan. But the podcast, the whole point of this is Dave Made a Minute podcast has launched, and I'm telling you, it's really fun. And it's fun for a couple of reasons. Even if you're not into the movie by minute thing, it's fun because you're being introduced to a whole bunch of podcasters that aren't us, a whole bunch of podcasters and their personalities, and they all have their own podcasts, and hearing how they interact with this content that is completely new to them, I'm finding enormously entertaining. I'd want to listen to these people talk about anything because they're just entertaining people. And the fact that they're talking about this movie that is generally foreign to them is delightful. So that's the first one. The podcast is launched. Our first minute has already dropped, and the others are coming in subsequent weeks. So really fun little experimental podcast if you're into that. Super fun. And the other one is Friends in Your Ears podcast. Which is a podcast on the Incomparable Network hosted by the inimitable Kathy Campbell, in which she interviews podcasters about their favorite podcasts and how they got into podcasting. And she always does it as a three-way conversation. And so it's going to be her and two other people that do not generally work together. And in my case, don't even know each other. I was just interviewed on episode 18 with Nikki Groom, who is delightful. And she's also, she has a great story about Muay Thai kickboxing that you have to hear to believe she's wonderful. And so it was a great experience. So thanks to Kathy Campbell for putting me on the show with Nikki. We had a great conversation. And so that's at theincomparable.com. Look for Friends in Your Ears. And if you're, it really is. I mean, if you're a podcast fan, then you'll like it. It doesn't really matter, what anybody on this show talks about. So there are. I have to say, like, I was super honored because I love all of the people who have come before. I'm a big fan of. So episodes 1 through 17, that's my jam. The fact that I'm included on this list, it's amazing. Like I'm very excited to be on there. It was quite an honor. So, and Andy is also scheduled to be on the show in the next month or so. So,
yeah,
it was really funny as we're talking about this. We ended the show and then realized that Kathy, the host, lives, not even a highway exit away from me.
Oh wow!
And we did not know that when we started recording the show. So, it was an amusing discovery.
It's a small world in podcast land.
That's the truth.
Yes,
that is the truth. So that's it. Plug over.
Yeah.
Let's talk about movies.
Okay, I have some news.
Oh, do tell.
All right, so there were a couple things that caught my eye.
Steve made a maze.
Yes. So first, because connecting off of the Marvel thing, I don't know if you heard, because I'm way not caught up on my TV, particularly when it comes to the Marvel series on Netflix. But Iron Fist is canceled after season 2. Netflix has canceled Iron Fist, so no more Iron Fist on Netflix. So I don't know what that means for Defenders and moving things forward, but I was not surprised. I never made it all the way through season 1. It just didn't grab me the way that Daredevil did and Jessica Jones. But this is, I think, maybe the first stumble in the Marvel world there of a show.
No.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Inhumans.
That's, well, I guess there was that Agent Carter, but this was one that I figured Netflix, things, it's a different world out there. It's not network TV relying on advertising. And there's always speculation about how, what is the viewership of some of these shows, and that's all hidden information. So this is sort of the first crack in the Netflix Marvel armor there of, for whatever reason, they're not going to be continuing Iron Fist.
Okay, let me ask you.
Yes.
If you were to compare Danny Rand with the other 3, right?
Yes.
That are on these, how would you characterize it? Because for me, I can't come up with the words to describe how he as a character is different, but for some reason, this is one of these things is not like the other kind of experience. I don't know if it's. I think that the actor Finn Jones is a fine and talented actor, and I think he did his best with the character. But for some reason, I'm with you. I was not able to connect with Danny Rand as much as I have been the other three characters on these Netflix properties.
Well, it's sort of the Bruce Wayne problem of how do you identify with, a wealthy billionaire? So it's everybody else. There's some struggle that you can identify. Here's somebody that's got something against them that they're working against. It's like Danny's like, oh, we thought you were dead. Now you're back. And, oh, we don't know if you really are who you say you are, but, oh, well, yes, you are. You've got billions of dollars. You own this company. So really it's like first world problems with him. It's like, oh, poor Danny. It's hard to sympathize. I think to put that story together is very different when you've got, oh, I'm a blind attorney. That's, I think that's the issue. And I think that a few reviewers highlighted that, after the first few episodes of it's going to be hard for people to really connect with him and his struggles because it's, to me, it's the issue I have with like Almost Famous. It's like, well, you're living the dream. You've got no right to complain about anything. And your challenges aren't really challenges people can relate to. Like, quit your whining and enjoy the dream that you're living. You can go fight crime, but really your struggles, it's not there. So
and he's a one-trick pony as a superhero, right? He doesn't have the Bruce Wayne benefit of being incredibly wealthy and having the entire sort of science department, engineering department of his company, making amazing gadgets for him and repurposing them. Like we come back for that candy because we've already forgiven the first world problems of Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
And we sort of got over that hump. And I don't think we're ever getting over the hump when Iron Fist as a character doesn't give us enough to come back to once you've seen the first, season.
Yeah, like, here's my fist. Wait, hold on, I got to recharge. Give me a
minute. Here's my fist again.
Yeah, exactly.
When with Jessica Jones, we have so much ripe opportunity for character development because she is so damaged.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And she's wonderful. And the same thing with sort of Luke Cage. We have so much of that wonderful kind of tapestry of the race issues that they keep bringing up, and like the way he sort of works, the introducing us to this community that so many of us are maybe not familiar with. Like there's just it's just a much more sort of interesting season 3 of Daredevil's coming back at the end of this month, and that's another one. Like the whole idea of the blind superhero is so interesting, so much more interesting than Glowy Fist. That exactly. It's like a story about somebody that's like Jared Kushner just not going to get a sympathetic audience. I did enjoy Daredevil, or I did enjoy The Defenders though, and that's why
See, I haven't gotten around to that one yet. That's one where it's there on my list. I'm like, okay, that's the great thing about Netflix. I don't have to worry about it going away. Like, other series on Hulu or network stuff. I'm like, oh geez, this could disappear. I never know when this is going to leave streaming forever. I know it's always there. It's sort of like, even though I've got a whole bookshelf of books that I haven't read, I'm going to pick up new stuff at the bookstore. Even though I know there's a whole bunch of Marvel stuff on Netflix that I haven't watched, there's other stuff I'm going to watch first because I know it's always there waiting for me when I'm ready for it.
Well, you should get around to it because I think it was a good first season, and I actually think that Danny Rand would make a great supplemental character in Defender Season 2. Like, I can totally see him in that property because we have, that's much more about the sort of righting wrongs. We don't have to hang so much on whether or not we love that character. Because we're in it for the team up and the story and who they're fighting. And in this case, I can totally see Defender Season 2 with Finn Jones back as Danny Rand and actually not have to worry about old Glowy Fist getting in his own way.
Okay,
so
that's
my take.
All
sad.
Right.
I hadn't heard that it was canceled.
Yeah.
It is a little bit sad, but
And I have a second piece of news that's it's trailer related because it's a trailer that we're not talking about. But this weekend, it's more of a teaser for Disney's live action Aladdin is out there now, and I'm going to read this tweet to you from writer Terry Rossio, who says,
Mhm.
so strange that literally the only words spoken in the new Aladdin trailer happened to be a rhyme that my writing partner and I wrote, and Disney offers zero compensation to us or to any screenwriters on any of these live action remakes, not even a t-shirt or a pass to the park.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
it's interesting. You're based with these live action ones that they are, it gets into that weird ownership that Disney has over these sort of like fairy tales and folk tales of, it's not original stories. Everything's always being borrowed from, older sort of public domain things. And now, Disney has always claimed rights to these stories, and now it's interesting.
Forever and ever, amen, in perpetuity on any media throughout the universe.
Exactly. And so now we've got a case where they're, redoing their own stuff. So again, who's the owner of that content? These screenwriters that actually wrote those original scripts off of that public domain. And is that something that is its own unique expression? Then if they're borrowing from that, do they owe those original creators anything at all? I think what's interesting is that here it's a line of dialogue that is, famous. It's the cave and
the diamond in the rough.
Yes, exactly. It's not like, it's, he's not taking issue with, the story and similar plot points. It's, we wrote that line of dialogue. Those are our words that we put on paper, and we're getting no recognition for that. So, and it's interesting. He's taking on Disney. Disney owes Ted and Terry a lot. They are the ones that started the whole Pirates of the Caribbean. They were the writers on that, and that became huge. So him going up against Disney is interesting. Not sure how this one's going to play out, if this is going to get into legal issues with the Writers Guild, or if this is just going to be Disney throwing its money and muscle around and saying, no, this is ours, and you worked for us, you don't own anything. So,
what do you think about that, though? I mean, personally, and because I do struggle with, I struggle with it on both sides. Like on one side, I can totally see Disney's perspective. They own it. Like they literally own it. It's not like, Chevrolet sends a thank you card to the person who designed the Corvette every time they sell one, right? They bought it. It's not yours anymore. So if you sold those rights to that, you've lost claim to it. You've lost claim even for a thank you, right? It's not yours. So I get it. I get feeling bruised by it, but I also, this is, and I hate that I am actually, you have forced me to come down on the side of big media. I hate it because as an independent creator, I hate it. But you have put me here, Steve.
Well, it is interesting because the film industry and ownership of, intellectual property and what a screenplay is, because, what a script is one thing. And then there's the actual art that is created from it, which is the execution of that. So yes, they wrote these words. Disney turned it into the movie Aladdin based on basically these blueprints, the screenplay. And so who owns what?
Disney does.
Right.
Disney bought the blueprints.
Right. Well, did they buy them? Do they buy the rights? And that's always the issue of, ownership of that. Does Disney own the rights to that screenplay, or is it Disney owns the rights to make their version based on that? And that's where, for me, that's where the WGA needs to get involved in figuring this out, because yeah, I agree. You created something and you were paid for that, but what exactly were you paid for? Was it you lose all rights to that? Is this a, commissioned piece where you are signing over everything, saying, well, I'm creating it for you. I'm letting you buy my expertise to do something for you that I no longer own. In which case, then why do we even have attributions to, who designed the Corvette? We have no idea, but we know who wrote these movies. So if Disney owns it, why do we even have the issue of authorship of story and screenplay credits if Disney or whatever studio actually owns those? Because we should remove those, because those individuals don't own it. Why do they need credit? Because it's not theirs. There's no ownership for them. So it's
I think that's the trick, because I have to come at this because I'm as a faculty member of a university that has asked me and paid me to create content that is taught by other instructors. Right? It's a very similar model.
Yes.
That I am created. They molded me out of the raw stuff of universe. I am contracted to come in and say, build this class. Now, the contract that I agreed to sign, that I use the weight and magic of my own 5 digits of my right hand to sign my name and make my mark on this contract, this binding agreement, says I am creating this for money, in exchange for which I promise I will not seek credit for this elsewhere. I won't try to teach this on my own. I won't try to do this anywhere else for another university. I'm doing this for my institution to do with as they see fit, and remold it to teach it in other mediums, whatever they choose to do, whether they're doing this on online or in space, right? Now, I have done that exactly once. And I haven't done it again because that is an enormously restrictive agreement. So I made a choice saying that my value is in my interpretation of this content. I'm not going to do this again for you, because the stuff that I create for my classes, I want to retain ownership of it, so that if I leave, and when I leave, I can teach what I know in my head elsewhere. So that's the where I feel like we're stuck, that these people who wrote this wrote it under a contract for which they have been paid, and they chose to sign their name on that contract to make their mark.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So I don't understand how they come back and complain about it. I don't feel like that's necessarily justified unless there is a legitimate claim of theft. Then I don't feel like it carries a lot of weight.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think there's issues of who owns what and what creators are entitled to when something they've created is then, modified, because those modifications couldn't exist without the original work. So this, if I make something, this, the whole intellectual property, my wife designs t-shirts. She took some things from Taylor Swift and modified them, made them her own. And the Taylor Swift legal machine came down and said, no, you cannot do that. You do not have the right to take something that we own and make it your own and profit from that. So I look at it from that side. Right. And, now I agree. There is the whole prior existing relationship between the writers and Disney, and without knowing what the nature of the agreement is.
There's a huge assumption that I think we're both making. I know I am.
Yes.
That there was that all of these stipulations do exist in a contract when they sold that thing. That they're done.
Yeah.
Like when you sell it, you're done.
Right.
And you don't even get a thank you.
No.
That's what you're getting paid for.
Sometimes you get a credit that says original characters by. Yeah. So but the fact that there's not even that though. There's not even original characters
that was in the contract.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
it could be. And it's also possible that we're a year out on this movie.
Yeah,
like it's possible that final credits are going to come out and it's going to have that. So, but I do think it's an interesting conversation, and I don't know. It's hard for me to. I do know the feeling of wanting to hear somebody say, "Thank you, this was great. That stuff you did was great." And now we're spinning it up, and we're doing something with it that should be equally magical, and it couldn't have existed without your contribution. Right. So I totally feel that.
Yeah.
What a gross thing.
Yeah.
Business sucks. Sometimes.
Well, that's why it's called show business.
Not show friends.
Show friends or show art or show. Yes, exactly.
That's right. I have to give a quick shout out to Nick Langdon as a show of great thanks, because I was shocked and awed. Shocked and awed, I tell you, that we did not bring up the Beastie Boys Body Movin' during our conversation on Danger Diabolik. Link in the show notes here. You got to go watch this video, because these guys, the Beasties, are big fans of Danger Diabolik, and they essentially recut and absorbed Danger Diabolik into their own video, and they are in essentially Danger Diabolik. They were so, I mean, it's just a magical video. You got to go check it out. If you're, whether or not you love Danger Diabolik, they went to great lengths to fit themselves into this movie for this video. So it's worth checking out.
Oh, I watched that video, and now I don't even know if I need to see the movie, because it seems like I got a nice little condensed, summarized version of it there.
You got enough. Yeah. You got enough. That's possible. I think you would find a way to enjoy the movie. It's fun. It's fun.
All right.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Are we ready for trailers?
We are ready for trailers. We're in trailer territory here.
Do we have anything that would determine who should go first?
No. There's no Red Band, no A24, nothing. No.
I think then we should fall to alphabetical by last name. And that means you would go first, Steve Sarmento.
Okay. We're in a weird spot for trailers. It's like one week there's just a ton of stuff, and the next week it's like, there's not really anything out there. But I did stumble across something that was sort of really interesting to me, not only because of the cast, but because of the story. And this is, coming out next month. Now, it says November 16th, and what it says limited release and also internet. So I'm not sure where this is going to show up, if this is just going to be a straight to, iTunes and digital purchases. But this is a film called Jonathan. And the setup on this is that Jonathan is one person, and when he gets home, he goes to sleep and he wakes up, and there's a breakfast for him and a video about the other part of his day. And he's got basically two consciousnesses living in one body. So sort of like, it reminded me a little bit of Fight Club, where you've got, you're one person at one point in the day and another person. And throughout the trailer, we see that there's a conflict that starts to arise between these two personalities. There's a girl involved. This is Ansel Elgort as Jonathan, and Patricia Clarkson as either I believe maybe his therapist or doctor that's sort of helping guide him through this, how to manage your life when you're two different people. And Suki Waterhouse as the girlfriend of one of these personalities. Just falls into that mind bender type of story. I love this idea. I am just so concerned and cautious about how this story is going to resolve itself in the third act, because I think this is a setup that just lends itself to, what a great idea. We're going to create a conflict between these two people. There's no good way that this is going to end that I think is going to satisfy everybody. And that concerns me, that you either go strong with one way of resolving this that's maybe going to be a little bit unconventional and may, alienate a lot of people, or you go with a more conventional ending that I think is going to really undermine the concept. So I'm intrigued to see how this plays out. I think it's got a great cast. This is from director Bill Oliver. I think this may be one of his first features. So not a name that I'm familiar with, but assembled a really solid cast here, and just has a great look about it, a great tone to the trailer that really grabbed me from the beginning. I wasn't sure if this was going to be one of these, here's some actors that are just, doing something for the money. I wasn't sure if this was going to, be what I hope, but as the trailer played out, I thought the stakes are ramping up. This looks really interesting to me.
Yeah, it looks really interesting to me too. It's sort of a reverse Gattaca, right? Where you have two guys pretending to be one.
Yes.
I couldn't help but kind of think about it. Who does the peeing in their relationship? Anyway, I found myself really excited about it. kind of right up my alley too. But love the cast. Love the fact that we get Matt Bomer is
Oh yes, Matt
in this
Bomer
movie.
too.
It looks really great. I think there's just a lot to like about it, and of course Ansel Elgort is continuing to choose some really interesting properties, and I'm just feel like everything that he has done, getting out of the Divergent sort of stuff, has been really fascinating, and just that he's just making some really great choices. So
yes,
I'm excited to see it.
Yes. We'll see what happens in November. If this is one that, I mean, this could be a potential trailer rewind in, December, January, if this is going to be out there and streaming right away. So I'm not sure what, why this approach, but we'll see what we get. So I'm looking forward to this. Maybe it's a little birthday treat in November. We'll see.
There you go. Well, this was the week to troll future trailer rewinds for me too.
Yes,
for sure. I am, and speaking of actors who got out of their early giant properties and are making great decisions,
yes,
I bring you Robert Pattinson, who clearly has jumped way outside of his his vampire days and is doing some just crazy, interesting stuff in this film, High Life, from writer-director Claire Denis. This is Claire Denis' first English language film, which is very exciting. Pattinson plays a one of many prisoners, criminals, who they are tricked into believing that they'll be freed if they participate in this mission to go find a new energy source near a black hole. And at the same time, they're being sexually experimented on by the scientists who live on this spaceship with them. So it's dark. It's a little bit dark, but it looks really good. And they worked with Aurélien Barou, who is a French physicist and black hole expert who lended his credibility and expertise in making the science legit. And there is a Danish-Icelandic artist who designed all the spacecraft for the film, inside and out, Olafur Eliasson, which is, I'm sure, butchered. I apologize to our Danish-Icelandic friends. But it has a really interesting look to it. And I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to this movie. I love this sort of new approach to, or any kind of new approach to this sort of space and science and the artistic interpretation of both on screen. So I think it looks great. The cast is fantastic. Of course, I didn't mention even Juliette Binoche is in it. Andre Benjamin is in it. Mia Goth is in it. Lars Eidinger is in it. It just looks fantastic. What'd you think?
Oh, yes. This, I thought, why haven't I heard about this? I love science fiction. You put something in outer space and I'm 100% in usually. And then just the crazy approach to this of, sure, it's your little, penal colony in space, but the fact that it reminded me a little bit of Moon, except instead of cloning people to sort of keep things going, it's like, we're gonna, basically have, find a way to reproduce the prisoners so we can sort of keep this experiment going, I guess, towards the black hole. It's not clear what's going on. Clearly things go off the rails at one point, which I love to see. And the idea of a small group of people isolated gives a lot of opportunity for some great character stuff. And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing from this cast. I think there's, from the notes that I see on IMDb, the script, I guess, initially was really skeletal. So something that sort of just organically developed with this cast, with this sort of concept. So there's risk there, but I think just great talent that knows how to deliver. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think JJ would be all on board for this one as well. So does this have a U.S. release date? Because I saw the trailer was, although English, it was all French subtitles. So I didn't know if this has.
It's all French subs. Yeah. I'm stalling just a little bit because I think it is still playing. Did the New York Film Festival close yet as we record this? It in fact, it closes in 2 days.
Oh, okay.
New York Film Festival it's playing there in the festival now, which, sorry, if you're in New York, you have 2 days to go see this movie. If it's even still in rotation and it hasn't closed yet, it's going to drop in. It's still playing at Busan International Film Festival in South Korea, Germany, Spain. It opens today in Spain. And then France, Belgium, Poland, Spain, Portugal. It's on the festival circuit. The first actual theatrical release is in France on November 7th, and Russia on March 7th of 2019. So we're not going to get it in theaters. At least there's nothing on this for a theatrical release in the U.S.
So it's playing the festival circuit, and they're looking for U.S. distributor to pick this up. But I think with this cast, somebody's going to snatch this up.
This kind of festival attention. It's getting solid reviews, and these are not small film festivals that want to see this movie. So it's getting a lot of visibility, hopefully by all the right people. So I'm very excited about it, and hopefully we'll get to see it in early 2019.
Oh, yes.
But check out this trailer. It's compelling. It looks really good.
Very, very much so. A lot of strong visuals on this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Steve.
All right.
Let's talk about these lists.
Okay.
Now, you had to do some gaming. You gamed the list.
It was a tie, and I had voted for both options. So I said, well, I got to come up with a list. So I'm taking back one of my votes. So I get to decide. We joked a couple weeks ago. We said we need a more authoritarian approach to this, and you joked, and I made it happen. Like, no, the people don't get to decide. I decide. I am here to bring you my list, and I will tell you what that list is going to be about.
You're the ultimate thug. Yes. I can't believe you just said that. You joked. I made it happen. Like, that is straight out of the greatest regime movies. You joked. I made it happen. Oh my goodness. That's going to be our new tagline of the show. This is the next deal. You joked. We made it happen.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh. Don't give them any. Right. Don't give them any ideas. No, we've already got the Swedes taking over. You don't know what Nick's gonna do. Nick Langdon's gonna do. He's gonna throw some jokes at it. Yeah. Well, then we're gonna have to make it reality. No, you've just flipped that equation of you joke, we make it happen is now again another power shift. No. I took the initiative to take that joke. I'm not putting us in a situation where if you joke about something, we're going to make it happen. Although we do,
I'm proud of it.
We do love our listeners.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, we do love our listeners, and usually they come up with some really great ideas. So, in all likelihood, if you guys joke about it, we're going to say, "Well, why not?
Okay.
Why not? It's a good idea." We're the well is tapped out here. We'll see what you've got.
All right, where would you like to start? First, you have to tell us a little bit about how you came up with this fancy list. Because I was not here.
It's Andy. I didn't, because I haven't seen any of these movies, so I think he said you guys got together and talked about these options.
It is possible that happened because we were doing the show off of Diabolik,
yes,
the Italian spy comedy, and I say comedy in air quotes. And we talked about the kinds of things that we could come out of this. The first one was comic book adaptations, and we limited that anything that is non-Marvel or DC. So we wanted to get out of the big universes.
Yes.
And the second was secret lairs, because Diabolik has a fantastic secret lair. And the third is spy comedies. We're gonna double down on funny spy movies that we have liked over the years, and that is where we ended up.
Yeah, and it came down to, it was a 5-5 split, and so I said, fine, I know a lot more spy comedies than non-Marvel or DC comic book adaptations, although there was in one of the channels some discussion about that, and somebody pointed out that, what was it, Weird Science, the John Hughes comedy, was based on a comic book.
Joel came in with a fantastic backgrounder on Weird Science, and this from Wikipedia. Weird Science was a 1985 movie produced by Joel Silver, who acquired the film rights to EC Comics in the early 80s. The plot was the 1985 Weird Science film is an expansion. The plot of the 1985 Weird Science film is an expansion and modernization of the basic premise of Al Fieldstein's story, Made of the Future in the 5th issue. Weird Science was the title of EC Comics anthology series with a sci-fi horror bent in the 1950s.
Wow.
What about that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I had no idea. No idea. And he also had a bunch of others, just because that one didn't get selected. The Rocketeer, Road to Perdition, History of Violence, Men in Black, Ghost World, Weird Science. He's right. That could have been a great list, but we didn't go down that road.
No.
And that was not my favorite one. My favorite one was Secret Lairs in movies.
Is that your...
And nobody picked that. The robot picked that. The pole robot picked that one.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
So
we landed on spy comedies.
We landed on spy comedies, which I for me at least puts us in a certain era in this country when you're, when are you going to be making fun of spies and espionage and all of that? When you've got to find a way out of it, because it's just it's an oppressive environment and it's scary, and so you've got to laugh at it because it's the only way to deal with it. So I think most of my stuff is I started in the 80s is where I started, because there's so much there, because we're in the middle of the Cold War and it's just so much daily fear that you've got to find ways to laugh about these things. So that's where I started, but I did branch out and found some other options in other decades. So we've got a few ways to go about this one.
Well, I also started in the 80s, and normally I would be worried that when you just mentioned the 80s that would be a steal, but there are so many of them that actually we couldn't even begin to think about spoilers yet. So why don't you kick it off?
Okay, so I'm going to start us off in the 80s, in the mid 80s, actually, and this is one that I have not seen in a very, very long time. Saw it on cable, one of these things when HBO and Showtime were out there, and that's where you went to see things that disappeared from theaters. And this is a story that starts off in a college with a student that's playing a little game called Gotcha with paintball guns. And this is Anthony Edwards and Linda Fiorentino. And he heads off to Europe and gets involved in stuff with the KGB. And I just remember loving this idea of, running around on a college campus with, little play guns, playing, assassination with each other. And then the fact that, wow, you could then travel to Europe, meet beautiful women, and have a life full of adventure like James Bond when you're 14 years old. What greater thing could you see on the screen of this is every kid's dream? I have not seen it in probably 30 or so years, so I have no idea how well this holds up, how dated it's going to feel, but I just remember having so much fun with this, taking something serious and making it great entertainment for teenagers in a really fun and light way, I think.
I think so too, and I can't believe that it exceeds the IMDb 6-star rule, but it does.
Just barely.
It noses right over the edge at 6.2, and that it may be the most wonderful bit that comes out of this. That I feel like this warrants a rewatch. I can't believe it, but I would like to join Jonathan and meet the sexy Sasha.
Yes.
I can't. What a crazy little game of time travel that is. So, man, Anthony Edwards with that blonde hair.
Oh, yes. With hair. Yes.
With hair. Right? With hair. Good pick. All right. My first, I'm also in the 80s. I'm also smack dab in the middle of the 80s. And I am in the middle of the 80s for a movie where the sequences have stuck with me. Quotes have stuck with me that are still in canon for me. To this very day. I use these with my kids. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I have $1,000 in this wallet. Or don't I? Right? This is my very favorite of the mid-80s spy movies. I refuse to watch it again because my memory of it is so good. That is Spies Like Us, 1985. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd are they're goofball pretend spies. And for me, everything I learned about cheating on tests, I learned from this movie. That is my favorite sequence, the testing scene in which Chevy Chase is taking the Foreign Service exam with his broken arm and his eye patch, using every possible means to cheat. is just delightful, goofy physical comedy. So I still love this movie, and I think I have very high opinion of these guys. Even as the years go on, look at Dan Aykroyd. Where are they now? Dan.
Oh.
He's done such great. Yeah, he had such a fantastic career. Chevy Chase got weird in Community. I'm not going to lie, got weird.
Yes.
It's one of those hard things to be a fan of, but my goodness, this was a real highlight for me.
This is when, nerds can save the world. That's, what this was about. And so, being a nerdy kid, you're like, wait, I could save the world like Dan Aykroyd, and I could be this, nerdy guy that's, relegated to the basement, but my brains are going to help me. Went out. There were, and I believe, I have to verify this. I have not seen it in a long time. There's a ton of cameos in this movie, but I believe I read somewhere that like Sam Raimi and Joel or Ethan Cohen have small cameos as like security guards at the military base or something like that.
Oh,
so
geez, I have no idea.
You've got a ton of other, Terry Gilliam, doctor.
Yes.
But yes, I love this movie. It's probably going to feel really dated, but I think it's still a classic in my book.
Yes.
So
Still
love that. Yes.
Excellent. All right. What's your second pick?
Okay. My second is, I guess I got to go the family route on this one. When you have kids and you're looking for fun movies, fun family movies, sometimes once you get out of the realm of Disney, you don't have a lot to look to. So for me, it was really refreshing when Robert Rodriguez decided to launch his Spy Kids franchise and just go crazy, go nuts with insanity and fun and family and spies. For me, it's just a great family comedy. Watched, I think, four of them. I don't even remember how many he's got, but I loved Robert Rodriguez, Desperado, all that. So when he ventured in the kids realm, I was just thrilled that there was another voice out there saying, I have kids. I know what kids like, and I'm going to give you something that you're going to enjoy that isn't the Disney-fied version of something. And to have kids lead a movie, but to have the parents involved. Because so many times when you've got movies about kids, the parents are absent or they're aloof or they're just comic relief idiots. And for this to have a family working together was so refreshing. A great opportunity to sit down with kids and say, hey, we are a team together. For me, it was a great message in this movie. And so that's why I bring Spy Kids to this list.
The kinds of movies I watch with my kids.
Let's see.
Don't you, Steve?
Kingsman, Whatever Happened to Monday,
right.
The things.
So, it won't surprise you to hear that my son comes to me and says, oh, man, I know that guy. What was he in before Machete Kills?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Spy Kids is a fantastic Danny Trejo vehicle.
Yes.
And I love this movie. I think so highly of it, and just what it is as a family movie. And it's one that was a real, it was a real catalog piece for, growing up, for my kids growing up and watching movies with them, and what fun things you could do with movies, and to talk about how they did these great effects and these great practical effects.
Yes.
And so anyway, I'm really excited about this pick. It's great pick. Certainly better than my second pick, which I have to tell you, I had desire here to see if I could come up with a list of movies in which the central character was spun off from credit card commercials. I was able to find only one.
Okay.
No, not Samuel L. Jackson, not Jennifer Garner. Their careers all came before their credit card commercial.
Yes.
I will say this one did too, but in particular, this character showcases a one-of-a-kind physical comedian talent. And I am not a huge fan of this movie as a singular entity. It's not a great movie. It averages down over the course of the series.
Okay.
In fact, yes, it's a series. I'm talking about the 2003 film Johnny English, starring
Yes.
fantastic British actor Rowan Atkinson. I think that this is a perfect vehicle for Rowan Atkinson. It's like for Leslie Nielsen in the Naked Gun movies, which also average down over the course of the series. But the first one, if you go into the movie thinking this is going to be a great sketch comedy show, like every Rowan Atkinson bit is funny and they don't add up to a great whole, but they're good bits. Rowan Atkinson in the sushi restaurant is one of my very favorite things. He's this Johnny English. He's so suave, and he sits down and he tries to use chopsticks and he can't. And he's the bit where he confuses the truth serum with the muscle relaxant, and you get this just great showcase of him being a goof. It is terrific. These little moments are just terrific. And of course, this character, Johnny English, was a spinoff from the Barclaycard commercials, in which he played Johnny English. And so it is novel in that regard. It's worth seeing if you're into for some cheap laughs. I often am in for cheap laughs. And so that's why I picked Johnny English.
Well, now in just a few weeks, you can experience a little more Johnny English with Johnny English Strikes Again, being released October 26th. That's the third one. I think this is a potential series for you and Andy to track the rise and fall of the Johnny English franchise.
I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I do love the poster. Yeah. He knows no fear. He knows no danger. He knows nothing. I think the gimmick of this movie, it is essentially Mission Impossible 1, in which the knock list, right, the non-official cover list, all the names of the spies have been leaked, and so they have to call in all the retired spies.
Yes. And
of course Johnny English is definitely a retired spy. And it does not intrigue me. But Johnny English 2003 also noses right above the 6-star IMDb 6-star rule. So it's fun.
It is. It's fun. It's one of these where you have to know what you're in for walking into this, and yes, you're going to get exactly what you want, and it's going to be fun, and you're going to have a good time with it. So that's
Rowan Atkinson is
brilliant,
a delight.
Yes, he is.
He is a delight. Yes. So all right. Your number one pick, Steve.
Okay. Because as I'm building my list, I'm trying to avoid, the steal. So I'm like, well, Pete's probably going to pick that, so I won't pick that. And so I'm weaving my way through, and then I'm finding things. I'm like, oh, well, is it more important to just say, yes, this is the number one spy comedy of all time and everybody's in agreement? Or is it bringing something that, you maybe haven't seen this or you've forgotten about this? And I'm going to highlight. It comes down to, why do we do the list, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm gonna have to go with the tone you set with Johnny English, because there was something a little smarter that I was going for, but I didn't enjoy as much, and so I'm gonna go with pure enjoyment. And this may be stretching the spy piece a little bit, because there is some infiltration and I guess sleuthing and espionage that does go on in one of the most ridiculous comedies ever made in the 80s. The film that introduced us to Val Kilmer, Top Secret.
Oh no!
That's right, Top Secret.
It is a steal.
The movie that I think, it's a PG movie from the 80s. I can watch this with my kids. Oh, the cow. Oh my! I wasn't ready for that.
Oh dear, I'm not even going to give you a backup pick. I'm just going to jump on yours with this one because I love it so much. And I also have to note, you did manage to get 2 of the 3 movies on your list that actually include exclamation points in the title. Gotcha and Top Secret both include exclamation points in the title, which I think is awesome. There are a number of scenes in this movie that would cement it on the list for me, but my very favorite, the scene I go back to time and again, is the gag at the Swedish bookstore.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
My very favorite. If you don't know the gimmick that, often they say, in English, that if you play spoken English backwards, it sounds like Swedish. Then you might not get the joke that's going on in the sequence. But it is so delightful.
Oh, yes.
Once you do know that, and you go in and you realize that they filmed the entire scene backwards. So like they shot the entire one shot backwards so that they could get this whole gag, sounding like it's in Swedish. And when they finally give it away and our central characters actually slide up the fireman's pole in the bookstore, I am on the floor.
Yes.
I'm on the floor still to this day. It is brilliant. This is a particularly perfect pick. And it was Val Kilmer's first movie.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I totally hijacked that. Do you have anything else you would like to say about this?
Oh,
Steve?
no. It's one that it's so of its era. It's a movie that, draws its comedy from so many films that came before it, or playing with those tropes of like the war resistance movies, but also other films that were, popular at the time, like the whole like Blue Lagoon thing of, being stuck on it. It touched on so many things that made it perfect for that year that I don't know, coming to it, if you haven't seen it, if you're not familiar with a lot of these touchstones and references, I don't know how well that's the challenge with comedy, is that it can be of such an era that it works so well that it doesn't hold up over time. But for me, just seeing this as a kid, and all just the visual gags that they just play around so much of, like, oh, you can do that, or breaking the fourth wall by just, staring and turning into the camera after, commenting on the film that you're in. It's totally. So many zany things. And I wish we had more movies like this that did it in such a smart way. Because for me, sometimes comedy just starts to play to the lowest common denominator. And this is one that does that, but also takes the high route sometimes. And for me, it's that solid balance between them. And
well, I love that this is a pick because it also gets Abrams and Zucker on the on the list, with Airplane and The Naked Gun in particular. I mean, this is one of those picks. But Omar Sharif crushed in a car with the wiper is physical comedy that you have to appreciate for what it is. So it's wonderful.
Well, and the
wonderful.
fact that Omar Sharif is in this movie, when you look at
at
the cast, where it's like, okay, you figure you've got
Peter Cushing.
Yes, exactly. Like, what? We want you in this wacky comedy. Oh, okay, sure, we'll go for that. Oh, yeah.
Michael Gough before he was Alfred in all the Batman movies.
Yes.
I absolutely underplay Michael Gough's work with 190 credits,
Yes.
right? But really, come on, he's Alfred.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That is true.
Anyway, this is a fantastic pick. Well stolen, sir. Well stolen.
All right, thank you.
That's it. All right. Now we have to start thinking about what's coming this week.
What?
I have to tell you, I don't remember what's coming this week. What's next on our list? I believe we're kicking off we finished our series of 68 crime films, and we're moving into our Dead trilogy.
Yes.
Night of the Living Dead, 1968's 50th anniversary, and we just passed the 50th anniversary of its premiere just 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So what do you think? Where would you go with a set of series based on Night of the Living Dead?
Because you've got 3 movies you're doing in the series, so we can't put all our eggs and chickens in one basket and consume them all at once. So we've got to leave something for, let's do zombie movies. Yeah, it's the same thing with the apes. You gotta balance this out over time here. So what is it? Now I have seen this. It's been a long time, but we can either go with, what made this film so successful, or is it we look at it from a historical perspective and say, what are other movies that sort of were the seedling for a genre or something like that? Because I think this is the first, we don't have zombie movies really before this. I mean, there may have been some in the 30s in the monster movies, but this sort of launched a whole, type of film.
The first, right. And we talked a little bit about that. The first monster movie was like 1932, I think was the first kind of zombie movie. But this one redefined a genre based on current sort of cultural gestalt, right? What was going on in the world, it solidified here with this movie and the next one that comes 10 years later. So, we definitely have the rules here. In this one, though, we do, they attempt to set out what causes the rise of the dead. And in this movie, it is a space disease, a disease brought to Earth from space. I thought it might be interesting to see other movies that start with space diseases.
Space diseases is yes, because that's in my wheelhouse with science fiction. We can have diseases and things from catastrophe from outer space. Yes, but I like the diseases. That can go different ways. Yeah, that gives us room to play.
Well, it could, and it could definitely go a direction that doesn't end in zombies.
Yes, exactly,
as we know them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you think? What's a good second track here?
I mean, you could go with with that. This is the 60s. You're going against convention and sort of the I don't want to say that. I guess it's not the happy ending. It's like you expect everything to work out. For me, that was one of the things when I saw this. Gosh, I think I saw it on like network TV when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, like Halloween, and just watching this like, oh, this is it's a black and white movie. Oh wow, it's kind of intense, and then wow, what a downer ending at the end of like, it's not like, oh, they get saved and everything's fine. It's like, whoa, they shot that guy that they shouldn't have shot. This isn't how this is supposed to end. So maybe playing around with that idea of the, I don't know, lack of a better term, an unhappy ending I don't know exactly how to phrase that, but yeah, when we started getting movies that didn't pay off the way we expected them to.
Okay, excellent. Unhappy ending movies. I was also thinking about one. I mean, there is a cold-blooded child kills mom.
Oh my gosh!
Scene in this movie.
Yes.
Kids kill their parents.
There we go.
In movies. I thought might be an interesting one.
There we go. That sounds like a good set of options.
Patricide in movies. Okay,
right.
So we've got it. Space diseases, unhappy endings, and patricide in movies.
All right.
That's our set. And I have a feeling the challenge here is going to be narrowing it down. I'm not afraid of any of these choices. So that's good.
That's right.
That feels good.
That's how we exert our control. We give them, just like a good parent, I'm going to give you choices. I'm happy with either one. You can clean your room or you can take out the garbage. You choose. I'm happy with either one.
That's right. Excellent. You're a gentle dictator, Steve. What are we? We're off to see the movies. We're gonna do a little film board tonight on First Man. So if you're hanging out, you should come hang out with us, and we'll be in the live show in Discord tonight at. I think we're gonna jump in there. When do we jump in there? 7:30.
I think it's about 7:30. About 7:30. What are we? Pacific time. Yes, because we do have our
United States Pacific
International time. Yes, because once again, it's all about us.
We'll be. It's all about time, really, in this case.
Yeah, but
we'll be hanging out on the live stream and channel, so we would love to see you there if you are a member of our Patreon group. And so, thank you very much to all of you people who are listening to this, who are members of Patreon. Thank you so much for help and support and helping us to continue to do this show after so many years. We love doing it. Love hanging out with you guys. So, thank you very much, and thank you, Steve, for.
Thank you, Pete. It looks like I've got some Portland weather. It's cloudy and rainy right now, so thank you for that.
Well, it's beautiful and sunny here, so you're welcome. Freaky Friday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.